if you ever had to change this motor out, you're gonna have to get in there and try to get back. I don't know, that's a little bit difficult. I might have to come up from the bottom, this little bracket, because it's pretty difficult to get down under here. I suppose you could. Yeah, I could feel with my finger. There's a couple of nuts on the bottom here that hold the bottom of this linear actuator on. I guess you could get that. It wouldn't be your favorite chore, that's for sure. But if these ever go out, you got just one nut here, or there's a double, like a lock nut setup, two nuts together, and then there's also on the bottom side there's two nuts together. Anyway, that's the only thing as I see is a little bit difficult with this setup over here, because there's not a lot of room here to service this if you need to. But it would be the same on the stock charger. So this is where the stock charger fender. This is the stock charger fender piece right here. So this space is going to be the same no matter what. Anyway, so we got all that straightened away. This has all took me a while to adjust all of this. Once I got it in, there was a big gap between the hood and the top of the grill, so I had to go along the bottom and the top and loosen all of my fasteners here, which I ended up having to have a shim under this one, a 3/16 shim under this one and this one, because tighten it down, pulled a big arc in this section of the grill over top of the headlight doors. So I had to slide a little U-shaped 3/16 plastic shim under there and tighten it down so that it allowed it to stay straight there. But anyway, I had this gap, and I thought perhaps maybe the hood was deformed or something like that. But basically what it was I needed to rotate the grill in this direction so that this peak rotated up and conformed with the hood a little bit better. So I had to loosen all these top adjustments, and then I had to loosen all the bottom adjustments, pull those out, push these in. I also had to, I had these secured through what were stock locations on this panel here, but apparently they didn't really line up that well. So this whole panel had to shove back, and what I ended up doing was re-drilling these holes here to hold this whole thing in that counter rotation in order to get this grill. It took a little bit of time. I got the whole grill, a whole bumper, everything was good. I was standing back looking at it, and I realized that I hadn't changed out. I still have my temporary bolts, these little chrome bolts here that you see now. I had my temporary still, and I had to pull the bumper back off and put those bolts in there. That wasn't too bad. Fortunately for me, the way this all ended up lining up over here, in order to take the bumper off, besides taking the bumperettes, you can reach up here and unloosen those nuts right above here. And then I have two bolts going straight up into my stabilizer bar that I put in. And you can go straight in here and take the 3 bolts that mount this bumper to the outriggers on the frame rails. And you just go, they're number 13 bolts, and they go straight in there. I had to add a little bit of a spacer, a 3/16 spacer on this side to rotate it out, because it was a little too close on this side. Even though both bumper outriggers are the same length, the fenders, there's a little bit of difference in the fenders, I guess. I don't know. Or the distance between the frame rail ends and the actual bumper itself. So I went ahead and just spaced it out so I could get that to work a little bit better. Got the hood blinkers sheathed up, run the wires down through here, and over here there's a plug right here, so if the hood ever has to come off, there's just a little weather pack plug right here on the end that just unplugs. You'd have to unplug that and unplug the hoses that come down from the windshield washing device, and then you could take the hood off. Over here, if I have to take these out and change these out, I tried to find slim enough fasteners or electrical connectors that they would slip through that hole. But bottom line is if these ever have to come out, it's going to be a matter of cutting the wire and splicing in the wires up over here, taking the shielding off, and putting the new ones in if they ever go out. If that's an issue. So around over here, I've got the windshield in. So this is a big deal for me. I was afraid. I'd been warned that if I didn't have Pilkington glass, that perhaps it wouldn't go in. It turns out there's a company called, what was it, Auto Glass. What the heck is this? Anyway, Auto City Glass Incorporated. Turns out they had the absolute nicest windshield. It just popped right in. These guys didn't take any time whatsoever to put this whole system in. They were pretty happy that they didn't have to struggle. They said it went in just the way the old ones used to go in. So pretty happy with that. In the process now of working on the windows, trying to get these new vent windows in. Of course, as with everything, they're not exactly the same as the old ones, so God knows what kind of an adventure I'm going to come up with there as far as making sure that the windows run up where I had designed them using the old vent windows. But we'll see if that becomes an issue or not. So far, so good. Anyway, got the door handles on. You see the door popped out a little bit when I opened it. It's because I've got the just put the molding here, or excuse me, the weather stripping. This has been sitting overnight because they have to cut a little separation here for the new style latch to go through, be clear of this molding here. So anyway, that looks pretty good. I've got the window whiskers pushed in over here, and on both sides I got this stainless trim on. That was a little bit of a battle, but it's on there. I was, debating whether to put this on first or put the quarter windows in here, or these vent windows in. I ended up putting these on first, and it was a little struggle sliding this down past, even though I have it flush with this metal over here. It was a little bit tough getting that thing because it rotates a little bit when you finally get it on there. But it worked out pretty good. Those clips worked out pretty good. In addition to the clips, around the clips themselves, I put some of that butyl that doesn't dry, so that it would plug the holes as I pushed it down. And I put a small strip of this tape that's used for putting trim on. In other words, the modern cars have their all their emblems put on with this type of tape. And so I put a strip of that on the back side here as an insurance policy to make sure that the whole thing's uniformly down in case any of the clips, were a little bit loose or anything like that. So, so what else do I have going on here? So I got this belt molding on, and like I said, I'm starting to do the install on the door interior. That's going to be a project all by itself. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a lot, but you might be able to tell from my voice. Both me and my wife have been fighting bouts with some bronchitis, so that'll take the wind out of your sails a little bit. But this side over here is also done as far as the window whiskers and as far as this trim molding here. And over on this side here, I've got this weather stripping. I got this little piece on order. Didn't know I needed it because most of these other this has this little built-in piece over here, and I thought that it also had one on the other end that finished out. There's another piece here. Millions of little tiny pieces that closes out this little area right here. So hopefully it'll come in here pretty soon. But that's where she sits right now. I'm going to cut you off and close the hood here and show you what it looks like with the hood closed. So hang on a second. Before I show you that, I'm going to show you this. If you've been with this project since the beginning, you'll recall that I added a frame rail to the car, and it's inside the pocket of the existing frame rail on the car. So the way I introduced the sheet metal rocker to that frame rail it bent down slightly, and then it just tack welds along the bottom edge of this frame rail. While the frame rail itself was painted with weld-through primer, and the inside of the sheet metal on the rocker was also epoxy. I left the epoxy on there. Obviously, this one little area here, which is inaccessible, ends up being, once you burn these welds in, they end up being little areas where there's bare metal. It's also a moisture trap. Even though I've left these openings in between the tack welds so that moisture could migrate out of there, it still is a possible potential for a little rust and detachment. So what I've done is went ahead and got this stuff here, and this has to be done at this stage because I didn't want it to interfere with the painting process, because it's got wax in it. It's a wax coating, and it has this little wand here that attaches to the nozzle. So I'm going to drill a hole in the top of the rocker just underneath the sill to where I can access this cavity, send this down in there, and run it back and forth. This little nozzle, you can see, will spray in all directions and hopefully coat the inside with this protectant that will keep this bottom area from rusting out, where I couldn't access it with paint or any other rust proofing methods while I was building. So that's the cross section, and that's what I'm about to do. And this is the stuff I'm going to be using, and so it's pretty good, so we shall see. So that's what she's looking like with the grill in and those vent windows and the windshield. Starting to look like a car a little bit here again, which is nice. As far as the glass, I'm having to put new seals in over here. Had to this particular piece of stainless had to be glued back to the glass. It was off. Glass had to be cleaned up. Also, for years and years and years, these were unobtainable. Thank goodness they're making them again. That's these front window edge. They're like plastic with flocking on them, and underneath they've got brand new clips to slide up and down in the track. Hopefully that'll go well. Also, what I'm having to do right now is these are the rear window tracks right here. So I've got brand new felt liners that have to be glued in and riveted into these over here. So that here's one. I'm just got they come all whoppy jaws, so I'm trying to kind of clamp them up to get some of the shape back into them. Luckily for me, I got a couple extra of these so that I can shove these into the track and hold it where it's supposed to be. They're a little bit snug, so hopefully the window motor won't bog down with that going on right there. We'll see. Anyway, lots of little knickknacks left to go. You know, it looks like you're close, and they say, oh yeah, I got to do that. Yeah, I got to do that. Yeah, I got to do that. And before you know it, a week goes by. Anyway, thanks for tuning in again, and we'll see you on the next one.